Welcome to the Leading at the Next Level podcast with Dove Development Consulting, the show built to provide ongoing support for your leadership journey. We are in full-blown Leadership Legacy 2026 promotion campaign, and today I've got the opportunity to host not one but two of our amazing partners. They're both with the same organization. Cindy and I are just thrilled to have, not just as partners, but as friends, Jordan Dean and Sarah Hale with us, and I'm so excited about this conversation. Now, we've known each of you individually for a number of years, and we've just always been thrilled with the relationship. You guys have been such great friends, such great business associates. You provide so much value, not just to us, but everybody we see interact with. It's just one of those cool things. We've always worked to develop partnerships for the events we host, really based on long-term relationships. And before we got started, Sarah, I was talking with Jordan a little bit about how cool it is to see the two of you interact and how strong that working relationship is and how fluid it is. Cindy and I really appreciated that when we had lunch with the two of you last week. How about each of you share a little bit about your professional background and anything else you want to do about the industry specific, who you serve, that kind of thing. Sarah, how about you go ahead, if you will?
Absolutely, no problem. So my background, I went to Radford University, and I have a teaching degree, which I feel like has helped me a ton in what I do now. Worked for a little while, did some long-term subbing, and worked at a psychiatric hospital. Then I fell into, I guess it's been about 18 years now, I fell into a sales position in the banking world. And since then have been, and I'm the business banking officer, but a lot of that involves sales, relationships, helping our customers get in the right direction. So I feel that my teaching background and my sales background has helped me get where I am now. And I've been in banking for 18 years now. So
That's awesome. Sarah, I never knew that, and that makes so much sense as to why you can tolerate me so well, both the psychiatric and I'm guessing if it
that's
was
it.
early childhood education, that probably plays out pretty well, and you've got so much compassion and sympathy for Cindy.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly right.
Jordan, how about you? Share, you again, both with PCB, but talk about your background and how you got where you're at today.
Sure. Yeah. So I am a native of the Shenandoah Valley. I grew up in Elkton. I went to Spotswood High School and then did my undergraduate at Virginia Tech. Got out of college and went right into banking. So I've been in banking for 13 years now. I started my career in credit administration and then transitioned into a lending position. I've been with PCB for 4 years, actually, as of this month. And I serve as the market leader here for Harrisonburg and Rockingham for Pendleton Community Bank. And so thrilled to be in the role that I'm at. And yeah, it's been a real blessing to be here with PCB. And thank you for having us today.
Oh, it's an honor, Jordan. Thank you for saying that. Now, each of you have done different paths with what you've done, but the reality is you both carry a lot of leadership responsibility. Now, don't mistake that for a title. I know you both have different titles that you've got, and you've got high levels of responsibility, but the leadership that I'm talking about here is really the influence that I see you build through the relationships you have with other people. Talk to me a little bit, and I'm going to make a play off my 2025 book, Leading with Clear Purpose. Both of you guys are familiar with that, specifically where you were part of the 2025 Leadership Legacy Experience, where that was the theme. Talk about the purpose for each of you individually, for why you accepted that leadership responsibility and how that really helps you fulfill it today.
Yeah, I'll start off, Wes. So in my role, in addition to having sales responsibilities individually and for the other commercial officers on our team, I also help from a sales perspective with our branch staff. So for my role and from a leadership standpoint, I really enjoy working with other bankers on a one-to-one basis, providing as much coaching and mentorship as I can. I find that very fulfilling. And while I feel like fairly young in my career, I feel like I have a pretty good background and knowledge base to share some of my own experiences. And I also take away experiences and learning opportunities from our other coworkers. So for me, it's the ability to work with my coworkers from a mentorship standpoint, but also for me to take something away from it as well. And then the ultimate goal is to give back to our community. That is extremely fulfilling, and that's one of the things that I really love about my position here at PCB.
Outstanding. Sarah, how about you? What's that
Yeah.
purpose that really drives you?
And I agree with Jordan too on the community. I love PCB does so much to give back to the community. And that is like one of my favorite things about my job in the bank. As far as the leadership position I'm in, mine is definitely a little different from Jordan's. I'm in the business banking is what I do. And I work a lot with our branch managers, work a lot with our staff, help train them on the different products we have and help them to be able to sell them and let our customers know what we have to offer. I feel like my leadership part is just being a big part of the team and going out with the branch managers, and we'll go out and sales calls together and go out and visit customers. And I just really enjoy that part of my job. And the leadership role to me is a little different from Jordan's, where I don't necessarily have employees working under me, but it's more the teamwork and the training of all of us working together.
Yeah, Sarah, that's why I was so specific in teeing that up, because it's not about who reports to us. I view leadership as a verb, and it's really about who are we serving in the process? Whose life can we make better? Who can we empower to do better in their own roles? And I 100% see you do that. Now, I'm going to tee up the next question, but I want to come back to something that you said, Sarah, about the community before I give you a chance, either of you a chance to answer. What I want you to talk about next is, with that purpose as your foundation, I'd love to hear the specific type of person, type of business each of you really do the most to focus on serving. Now, before I do that, I'm going to say, Sarah, you mentioned the community aspect as well, just like Jordan. And we just chatted about this last week. A conversation that Cindy and I had with you, I think maybe a year and a half ago, about new creation has blossomed into such a cool relationship. And they're the community partner for our 2026 Leadership Legacy Experience. And you were on the board for a number of years there. You're really close friends with Sabrina, one of the co-founder of it. Sabrina's going to be on one of our panels. And we just watch how much you serve and how you work to connect good people with good people. And that's why Cindy and I enjoy the time with you so much, because that's one of our goals too. Now, back to, who are you really focused on serving professionally?
Jordan, do you want to start or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can go. So in Sarah and I's, in both of our roles, we are primarily focused on serving small business and commercial customers. That is the clientele that we specifically serve. But from a broader standpoint, I work with some of our agribusiness customers. We are in a farming community, so we have agribusiness customers that we are serving. And then we also, as I mentioned, I work with our branch staff who deals primarily with our consumers, just our day-to-day people that need a checking, a savings account, CDs, and then also consumer loans, whether that is a construction loan to build your home or an auto loan. So I work with a pretty wide variety of clientele, from either personal service or indirect service through our branch staff. But yeah, I really enjoy personally working with our small business and agribusiness clients. It gives me a lot of fulfillment to see them meet their goals. And try and coach them or guide them as much as I'm able to meet those goals.
Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you for that new creations comment. That made me smile so much when I saw that you all were partnering with them. I think that's wonderful. As far as who I work with, it's a huge blend. Like Jordan, I would say probably the big focus is on business, but I do a lot with individuals as well. The smaller businesses are where I feel like I find myself a lot recently too. We've been doing a lot with nonprofits. We have a really great nonprofit account, and that's where I've been working with a lot. But I love the variety in my job, that some days I'm working with individuals, some days I'm in with a larger business, a good variety. And I love learning about every type of business and what everybody does, and it being something different every day.
Yeah, one of the common themes that I've heard each of you say through each of the questions to this point, and I'm guessing we're going to hear it throughout, is really serving that individual, helping them make the best decisions they can, achieve their goals. It's been others focused, whether it's internally on the team at PCB that you're part of or the customers you're serving. And the reality is, guys, businesses aren't these magical entities in the sky. They're made up of people. And when we get to know the people in the businesses, gosh, we help the businesses, right? So it's pretty powerful. Now, you guys have alluded to it so far, but I want to dig into this a little bit because it's the theme of what we're coming up. The values advantage is the theme, the framework for applying the values advantage specifically for the 2026 Leadership Legacy Experience. What I'd love to hear from you is what's that one core value that each of you work to model daily so that everybody that you interact with, your team, the community, whoever it is, they can feel it in every experience with you. Now, I've got a perception from each of you, but I'd love to hear it from you.
Okay. I'd like to say integrity, doing the right thing always, even when someone else is not watching, is something that I always try to live by. And that is a huge part of what PCB's value is as well. And I feel like I just want to do the best to help my customers, to help people in general, and to try to do the right thing and to lead by that example. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that as well. Integrity is what was the core value that I was going to mention as well. It is one of our bank's core values and one of the things that drew me into PCB. And our other core values as a bank are being customer driven, team member focused, and community centered. And I don't think that we can accomplish those latter values without being based on integrity.
Jordan and Sarah, what a fantastic response from each of you. And it goes back to the comment I made earlier about how cohesively I watch the two of you work together. But it really goes to say, hey, if that integrity is not there, does the rest even matter? It doesn't, does it? You touched on how that for you personally, what you work to exhibit aligns with the organization's values. And Jordan, you did it really well to say all these stack on top of it. Sarah, I'm going to toss this one to you to start. And I'd like for Jordan to weigh in after, because you've already kind of set the foundation for it. Talk about a recent project. You mentioned working with a lot of nonprofits and some services there. Talk about a recent project that you and PCB have been involved with and the impact you've seen it have.
I think our 100-year celebrations that we've had the whole past year is a really good example. They have been amazing. We've had them at all of our branches. We've had the community involved. We do a lot with the SPCA. We've had them at all of our events. We've watched the community come out and everybody just get excited and come to those. And our partnership, for example, with the SPCA is one where I feel like we went out there and we volunteered and they've come to all of the events. So that just the 100-year celebration in general to me was just huge. It showed everybody in the community at all of our branches who we were, and just to see everybody come out and celebrate and be excited with us. It's been a really amazing thing.
Yeah, and in addition to 2025 was the bank's 100th year anniversary, one of the goals that we set out as an institution to accomplish. And we are, as we've mentioned before, extremely community driven and provide a great deal of volunteerism in our local communities that we serve. We set out to accomplish 100+ hours of community volunteerism outside of our normal volunteerism that we do on a year-to-year basis. We go to Big Brothers Big Sisters events. The Bowl for Kids' sake was this past Friday and Saturday. We do the United Way Day of Caring, all those things. But last year we set out to go 100 hours plus above that. We met that goal and accomplished that. So I think that's something that we are extremely proud of as a bank. And I don't know what that final hour count was. I'd have to look that up. Should have came a little more prepared, but it's just so incredible to see all of our team members getting out in the communities that we serve and just helping our neighbors, our customers, our friends. It's truly something to be proud of.
Yeah, Jordan, that's significant. That's 2.5 weeks of somebody's life that as an organization that you're investing over and above into volunteering. And that's pretty powerful. That 100 hours over and above, it's a huge deal. Thank you both for sharing that. And Sarah, you hit our heartstrings. You know, Cindy and I have rescue dogs and so on. So the SBCA thing's something near and dear to us. I'm just surprised I've not heard either of the rescue dogs barking since we've been having this conversation. So, guys, talk a little bit about how individually your own individual core values have really driven you to invest the time that you put in to making sure that you're the best leader you can be for the people you serve. What is it that's really sparked that for you?
I think it comes back to integrity, as we mentioned, doing the right things, and the connection between integrity and leadership is extremely strong. Finding the time to buy a leadership book, do a little work on yourself to strengthen those leadership skills, and going to your conferences. There are opportunities abound if you go out and look for them, but it really just takes to me, it's all about finding the time. We all have busy schedules with work life and personal life, but we have to carve out that time to sharpen those leadership skills and stay on top of those things, because that's what it takes to be at the top of our game and to provide great working relationships with our coworkers, and I'd also say with our customers as well.
And I'll piggyback on that. I know we keep saying the integrity, but I do think in banking and in everything, to be successful, you have to have that. And banking is so much relationship and so much trust, and you have to have that. So that for me is huge. And when Jordan was talking about our core values, the customer driven, I love that. We're so team focused, and we all work as a team to try to do everything we can do to make all our customers as happy as possible. And I love that. The teamwork here is amazing. Community centered, that is definitely one of the values that I feel like we really strive. Like when Jordan was talking about how we set out to do all those hours, we enjoyed it so much, looking back at all the pictures and seeing all the different places we went and how we did that as a team. It's just not something we have to do. It's something we want to do, and it's just fun. But the integrity is where it all comes back to, I think, for both of us, because I think we both agree that you have to have that to be able to be a good organization. And especially in banking, the relationship and the trust is everything, because people really have to have a lot of that for you to be managing and helping them with their finances.
Yeah, Sarah, I love that you referenced trust two different times. Cindy and I do a lot with the DISC model of human behavior, and we've all heard the idea of people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. But as a really, really task-focused person, I'm never going to like somebody if I don't have that trust in them first. I remember having a conversation more than 10 years ago with a guy that made 3 untrue statements in the first 10 minutes I knew him about his competitor that was a local business. And I remember looking at him across the table and saying, man, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to have a good working relationship with you, because I clearly can't trust you, because you've lied 3 times to me already. And he looked like a cow looking in a new gate, Jordan. Oh, my goodness. But the reality was, it wasn't wrong. Now, Jordan, I want to play off something you said as well. You got to find the time. It's not about, do I want to? It's about, we've all got 24 hours in a day, and we can't leave if we don't have the time, or we don't make the time to develop it and sharpen the saw. I remember cutting wood with my dad, firewood, growing up, and if the chain got a little bit wonky on one side or another, it just wasn't cutting as good. And we were spending a lot more time not cutting wood than we were cutting wood. So you got to sharpen the saw. So it's something that you got to do all the time. Great references, guys. Now, you guys have had a little bit of a behind the scenes look. Sarah, you more than maybe Jordan has, but Jordan, we've talked enough about it. With the theme of the upcoming 2026 Leadership Legacy Experience, the values advantage and the framework we're really working to lay out, talk about what you can see folks getting out of that if they really embrace it and understand how to take on their organizational values and make sure that they model those on a day in, day out basis, not just as leaders, but at every level of an organization.
There's so much. After going to last year's, it was just amazing. And I'm even more excited about this year because you all have so many great things lined up. First of all, I love the New Creations partnership. I have to say that again, but I love that's going to be a big part of it this year. the networking and the opportunity to get in front of hundreds of leaders, meeting new people. Last year, I met so many new people and it was just absolutely amazing. The speakers that you all have and being able to learn from them is just priceless. So I took so much out of that last year and look really forward to the ones we have this year. The trade show opportunity and being able to learn about the different businesses and seeing what they bring, that was amazing as well. And then the panelists, the opportunity to listen to that was something that I really enjoyed last year. And I know this year you're adding some new things, but to me, one of the best opportunities is you get to go and be in a room with hundreds of different leaders, meet all kinds of people. You think you know everybody around, I feel like I met a good handful of new people last year too, and got to learn more about the others in the community. So there's just a ton of opportunity. It's a great day. And I felt like I came out of there learning so much and look really forward to what we're going to learn this year. You're always learning every day, and there's so much. So
Outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the event last year was excellent for all the reasons that Sarah mentioned. My biggest takeaway to your point, Wes, about it's not just necessarily about the people that you impact on a day-to-day basis from a leadership standpoint across your organization. From in banking, your tellers are your frontline folks. They are the face of your bank, and they interact with the majority of your customers. And then you go up the ladder from an organizational chart standpoint to mid-level managers to executive level management. Having the same values across your organization is really what's going to set a company, a business aside or apart from their competitors. Because if you're all pulling in the same direction and you're all working for the same goal and have the same values to accomplish those goals, that's just extremely powerful. And organizations that don't have aligned values, I think you would see, and I think you would probably agree with this, Wes, that it's just going to be much more difficult to meet your company's objectives and goals. So that was my biggest takeaway from last year, and something that I tried to come back and implement as much as I can personally, and also with everyone that I personally touch from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to spill the beans a little bit for folks. What we've done this year, Cindy and I will open up to cast the big picture. Here's the framework. Here's why having those clear values matter. And statistically, between 70 and 80% of all organizations have values listed, at least in their handbook or on their website. But you all know just as well as I do, that's not reality. Most organizations, they might have them listed, but people don't know what they are, and they certainly don't understand how they can live them in practice, right? And what I've heard you guys say is you've been very, very intentional looking for how can you model those for not just the teams you're a part of, but the people that you serve, and that's powerful. What we're going to work with throughout that day is, gosh, Sarah, Sabrina's going to be talking about as part of her panel. Here's how we determined our values for new creation. And then we've got a second panel throughout the day of leaders that are going to say, here's how maybe we weren't in the organization when the values were identified, but here's how I work to make sure people watch me modeling those, living them out in my behaviors every day. And then, Sarah, I won't say any more than your husband in this particular conversation, but I'm going to be doing an interview with him over the lunch session about what he does and what his team does to make sure that they're modeling those values for everybody that they serve within the community. So there's three distinct parts that really build those values in. And the biggest reason, guys, I've been blessed. I got to see an organization over the last 5 years grow leap by leaps and bounds, because from the first time I had the conversation with the not even owners at the time, the folks that were looking to buy the company, they said, these are our 5 values and every decision is going to be made based on those. And it's been amazing. They've almost tripled their overall revenue, and they've built a tremendous team. Cindy and I were with them just last week, and it was just so heartwarming to see they've done it all based on those values. And it's core to what both of you said. That's how organizations grow. Now, Last formal question I'm going to ask you is, what advice, and I'm always going to close these with this same question, what advice would you give to somebody starting in their career if they really want to become a leader? And again, that has nothing to do with title or position. It has nothing to do with the authority they carry. It's the impact that they make on other people. How would you suggest people go about earning leadership?
In my personal experience, I think there's a couple different levels. It is investing in yourself, going out and getting a book, expanding your knowledge base. But then there's also the implementation and taking that knowledge and putting it into practice. I think networking is extremely important. Building your network, and from a leadership specific standpoint, who are the people locally locally that you can lean on to help you grow from your leadership skills? I think those would be my two biggest pieces of advice to a young professional.
And those are great. I would say the hugest one I feel like that I found is never stop taking opportunities to learn and to grow. Always utilize those. Don't ever think that you've gotten to the top of that and that you know everything, because there's so much out there, and every day you're learning something new, and take advantage of all those tools. I look back now, and from some of the younger generation that I was working with when I was first starting, I'm learning from them and the way that they're doing things just as well as I hope maybe they've learned some from me. But I think always taking that initiative and looking for new opportunities. Somebody asks you to be on that board, consider that board, consider doing something different, be involved with all the different organizations around and explore all these opportunities. There's so much out there. And I feel like when I first got into sales roles and banking roles, I just tried to jump into a little bit of everything, not only because I wanted to be visible and be out there, but because I wanted to learn from all the different opportunities. And I think every day that you're learning something new, whether you're in business or whether it's at home or whatever it is, you should never stop doing that. Just always continue to grow.
Guys, there's so many directions I could go with what you each just shared, but I'm not. I'm going to fight the urge and have a little bit of self-control. I am going to tee up a question that I never put in writing for you in advance because I want it to be a little bit more spontaneous. And then I'm going to explain a little bit of stuff so you've got some time to think. So what my final question is what did I not ask you that you want to make sure that folks, anybody accessing this, whether it's through our podcast, whether it's through a community, whether it's through the digital game plan that's tied to the event, what would you like folks to know? Now, while you're each thinking about that, what I'll say is I've got, wherever you are accessing this, in the show notes, so to speak, I've got links to Sarah on Facebook and LinkedIn. I've got to Open Community Bank, PCB, on Facebook and LinkedIn, their website, Jordan. Connect with them. Learn more about the organization. They're great people. Cindy and I take so much pride in having amazing partners. And we use the term partner very intentionally because it's a back and forth relationship, and we just respect and cherish the friendships and the partnerships we're able to have. Now, who would like to go first on that one?
I can go first if you want. First of all, I'm going to spin this back on you a little bit. Wes didn't pay me to say this either. I don't think that you've missed anything, but one thing that I want to put out there is that you and Cindy have been so helpful and so key to me and my career, especially in the past several years. And I've learned so much from not only just going to lunch with you all. I know I can call you if I have an idea. You all have done an amazing job, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you the way we have and respect all that you've done to try to help the community and just try to help everybody grow. That's what I want to turn around and say. He didn't ask me to do that.
Thank you, Sarah.
The only thing that I will add is relationships, whether it be personally or in business or with mentors or peers outside of business. I think that's really what it all boils down to in life, are just those relationships that you have with people. And I could go several different ways with that, but just building those relationships, knowing who you can count on, who your people are, who you enjoy having a relationship with. There are like I said, I could go in several different directions, but I just really want to emphasize the impact that relationships have on every aspect of your life, business included. Just it's impactful and it's meaningful.
Jordan, you're baiting me so hard that when I end the recording, I'm going to share something with you, but I'm going to fight the urge to do it while we're still having this live conversation. So with all that said, guys, thank you for taking the time to do this. The last thing in closing that I'll share is if anybody's accessing this, wherever you're at, however you're doing it, when we started the Leading at the Next Level podcast, we used to do an offer a 14-day trial of our complete Leading at the Next Level program. That's now almost, close to 200 hours worth of content, approved for continuing education credit through Society for Human Resource Management, Human Resource Certification Institute. We've redone that a little bit. We've got a 7-day trial built in. But if you have interest in that, you need continuing education credit, you really want to sharpen the saw like Jordan and Sarah have talked about, hit us up, send me an email at admin@dove-development.net, and we'll hook you up with a coupon code for, probably at least 25% off your first year after that 7-day trial. And we've got a couple different tiers depending on what you need. And that 25% off is going to probably take it down to about $15 a month or something like that for one of the tiers and so on. But I promise you, there's a heck of a lot of value if you really want to sharpen the saw. Guys, thanks again for taking the time to do that. We look forward to just continuing to build the relationship, and thanks for helping us make an impact on the people around us. Everybody, make it a great day, and God bless.